Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports for today's Dutch Grand Prix preview. The Formula One season returns after the summer break, and the question is do we have a genuine race to the title, a race to the Constructors' Championship, for example? Can Red Bull respond after they've not been as dominant as they'd like in the last few races? Mercedes, McLaren, all of a sudden arriving and being very, very serious contenders to really make this season quite interesting. The Constructors' Championship race firmly on. Charles Leclerc has actually fallen back to third in the driver standings, for example. You're going to be looking at the race weekend ahead, which is a pretty normal race weekend in terms of people restrictions, qualifying and race. No sprint this weekend, for example. And it'll be very interesting to see how things happen around Zaandvoort on Sunday. The race is getting underway at 3 o'clock. So put that in your schedules. Make sure that you don't miss a moment. Before we get into it, please do smash the like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Let's have a look, shall we, at the race weekend that is ahead. So things will start on Friday, on the 23rd of August. 12, we'll have our first practice session. We'll be live for these sessions, by the way. Practice 1 at 12, practice 2 at 4 o'clock. Saturday, we'll have practice 3 at 11, and qualifying gets underway at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. The race also starting at 3 o'clock. So the sessions have the practice and the qualifying starting by an hour before. They usually sort of would start, generally often start, qualifying usually at 4, for example, practice 2 often at 5 to 6. So make sure you've got these times. You've got to send the calendar on the Formula One website, for example, and you can go and see all the information over there. So in terms of the laps, it's going to be 72 laps. It is a 4.2 kilometer circuit, and the race is, as mentioned, on Sunday. If we look at the driver standings going into this weekend, very interesting. Max Verstappen still pretty far ahead, but Lando Norris has overtaken Charles Leclerc recently and is really starting to try and start catching Max Verstappen. Oscar Piastri has also put himself in the mix. He's not far behind Charles Leclerc. Carlos Sainz right behind Oscar Piastri. Lewis Hamilton not far behind Carlos Sainz, and then Sergio Perez needs to start basically hang on to these. So the top 6 pretty close. Obviously, Max Verstappen with quite a big lead, but a few results go the right way in the next few races, and maybe somebody else can start to put pressure. This, for me, is where it gets very interesting. Because of the poor form of Sergio Perez, we are seeing the Constructors' Championship pretty close. We've got Red Bull ahead at 408, McLaren just behind the 366, and Ferrari on 344. Then pretty much quite a big distance back down to Mercedes. And those top 4 way ahead of the likes of Aston Martin, RB, Haas, Alpine, Willams, and then Kickstarter have yet to register a single point. The question is, what happened last year at Zaandvoort? So if we look back, for example, Max Verstappen was on grid, was on pole a year ago. Lando Norris was in second, and then George Russell. Alexander Albon actually found himself in 4th place. Fernando Alonso, Carlos Sainz, Sergio Perez down 7th, Oscar Piastri in 8th, Charles Leclerc at 9th, Logan Sargent at 10th. Very, very interesting grid over there. Lewis Hamilton down on 13th. Expect this to be very, very different on Sunday. If we look at the final results, for example, Max Verstappen ending up winning the race from pole. Fernando Alonso coming in 2nd. Pierre Gasly with a 3rd place. We're very surprised we were to get that. Sergio Perez finishing 4th. Carlos Sainz there at 5th. Hamilton up to 6th. Lando Norris 7th. Alexander Albon 8th. Oscar Piastri 9th. Esteban Ocon finishing the final points there. So the big thing from last year was that we saw George Russell not score any points. Charles Leclerc didn't finish the race last year, for example, and the likes of Oscar Piastri only just making those points. So I expect these are all quite different, considering the fact that the McLarens at the moment almost seem to have more speed than the Red Bulls. Mercedes very much compared to Ferrari, who started out well. They've won 2 races this season. Both Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc have won a race, not been able to really hold on and continue to put the pressure on the other teams. And if you look at the driver of the day, for example, it kind of sort of shows you this change in the recent sort of history. Lewis Hamilton actually won 2 of the last 3 drivers of the day. He had a very good time in Spa. Before that, Oscar Piastri won his first Grand Prix. If we go back and look at Hungarian Grand Prix before that, Lewis Hamilton at the British Grand Prix, fairy tale win for him over there. Lando Norris before that. Lando Norris back to 3 times in a row, actually. Charles Leclerc. If, for example, you look at the last time Max Verstappen won driver of the day, you're going back quite a long way. It's actually not won one this season. So very, very interesting And I think a lot of it obviously is he's still obviously been winning quite a few races, but it kind of shows you how in a time in an award, for example, that's very social media driven. Max Verstappen, whilst he's always usually features in terms of the on the vote. A lot of it's always kind of been what's going to happen behind him. However, in the more recent Grand Prix, for example, we have had other drivers apart from Max Verstappen going and winning the races, for example. So it does show you, for example, that especially Oscar Piastri, Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris in that top three. Lewis Hamilton, Oscar Piastri, Max Verstappen. So we are seeing 4-5 drivers really start to compete in the forms of Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, Piastri, and Hamilton. George Russell's there and thereabouts. Maybe hasn't quite been as consistent as Hamilton, who's really coming good in the last few races. The question is, what are the predictions, and what do you think is going to happen this weekend? I'll be very interested to see the work that's been done during the summer. I think Red Bull are quite aware of the fact that they haven't quite been as good as they want to be, and I think they have done a lot of work. The question is, has McLaren managed to also improve and be able to continue that dominance? Are we going to see McLaren mount the charge for Red Bull? Have Ferrari maybe caught up a little bit, because Lewis Hamilton will be looking at that team going, I need to see improvement because otherwise I'm going to be quite nervous coming across there next year. So my question is, what are your predictions? Give me your predictions down in the comments below, your grid predictions, for example, after qualifying, your qualifying results, as well as your final results on Sunday. Who's taking pole? Who's winning the race? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash the like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Very much for watching. My name is Steve.